It was one of those bitterly cold nights when the snow seems to silence the entire world. I was walking home from my friend's house, taking my usual shortcut through the park. The streetlights barely lit the path, their glow muted by the swirling snow. About halfway through, I saw it, a snowman standing dead center on the trail. At first, I smiled, thinking some kids had made it earlier. But as I got closer, I noticed something strange. It wasn't the cheerful kind of snowman with a carrot nose and a scarf. Its face was disturbing. The eyes were just empty, black holes, and the mouth was a gaping circle, like it was silently screaming. I stopped a few feet away, staring at it. There weren't any footprints around it. How could someone build a snowman without leaving tracks? A chill ran through me, and not just from the cold. I shook it off, telling myself I was just tired. But as I walked past, I swear I heard something, a soft crunch of snow behind me. I froze, my heart pounding, and turned around. The snowman hadn't moved, but something felt different. I picked up my pace. Every few steps I glanced back, and each time the snowman seemed closer. At one point I tripped and fell, and when I looked up it was standing right at the edge of the trail. My breath caught in my throat. I ran the rest of the way home, not stopping until I slammed the door shut and locked it. When I finally looked out the window, the snowman was gone. But the next morning, I found footprints leading away from my porch, big, heavy ones that ended at the edge of the woods. I haven't walked through that park since. We thought renting a cabin for winter break would be the perfect escape. It was just me, Jake, and Olivia, surrounded by nothing but snow-covered trees and mountains. The first day was perfect. Sledding, hot chocolate, even a little snowball fight. That night, though, things started to feel off. We were sitting around the fire pit outside when we heard it, a soft crunching sound like footsteps in the snow. At first, we laughed it off, thinking it was just an animal, but the sound kept circling us, always staying just out of sight. Jake grabbed a flashlight and shined it into the trees. "Hello, is someone there?" he called out. For a moment, the beam of light landed on something. A tall figure standing perfectly still. It wore a long, tattered coat, and its face was hidden in shadow. Probably just a hunter, Jake muttered, but his voice wavered. We went inside and locked the doors, but the unease didn't go away. Around midnight, we heard tapping on the windows. Light at first, then louder. None of us wanted to look, but when we finally did, there were handprints. The handprints were huge, almost twice the size of mine, and they were icy, like whoever made them had been out there for hours. We stayed up the rest of the night, too scared to sleep. By morning, the handprints were gone, and the snow outside was undisturbed. We packed up and left that day, and we haven't been back since. It all started when I missed my usual train to visit my parents for winter break. I ended up on the last train of the night, and from the moment I stepped on, something felt wrong. The train was almost empty, except for a few passengers sitting far apart. The lights flickered constantly, casting eerie shadows across the seats. I tried to shake off the feeling, telling myself it was just a late-night commute. The first stop came, and I noticed something strange. No one got off, and no one got on. The station outside looked abandoned, with broken signs and overgrown weeds. I thought it was odd, but maybe I'd misread the schedule. At the second stop, the same thing happened. The train kept moving, but the landscape outside never changed. It was the same stretch of frozen trees and snow-covered ground over and over again. That's when the conductor appeared. He looked normal at first, just an older man in a uniform, but there was something about his eyes. They were too bright, almost glowing. He leaned down and said, "You shouldn't be here." "What do you mean?" I asked, but he just shook his head and walked away. The other passengers wouldn't look at me, and when I tried to talk to them, they acted like they couldn't hear me. By the time the train reached the next stop, I was panicking. I tried to get off, but the doors wouldn't open. The conductor appeared again, and this time his face looked wrong. It was stretched, like his skin didn't fit. He leaned in close and whispered, "You can't leave. Not yet." The next thing I remember, I woke up on a bench at the station where I was supposed to get off. My phone was dead, and no one believed me when I told them what happened. But every time I hear a train whistle now, I get that same sinking feeling, like I'm still on that ride, waiting for it to end. Thank you for watching. See you next time.